What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversation, and I am the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast and News Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that movement, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And today, on Monday, August 18th, coming away from another amazing weekend. There have been a lot of great weekends over this summer, so I'm really enjoying it. And I'd just like to know, what did you do over the weekend? If you're watching this somewhat live or whatever day of the week, because, hey, you could be watching this at any time. But myself, I think I had mentioned, been doing the morning vibe for a while here now. This weekend, I was at a farm, a lovely farm. So a little bit of histoire. My dad has a friend, this gentleman and my dad have known each other over 55 years. 55 years. And every few years, well, this gentleman actually owns it's over 100-acre farm in not just outside of Toronto. Say maybe probably about an hour east of Toronto boundaries. And every few years he has a get together on his farm. And this year he did the get together to celebrate his older brother's 90th birthday, which was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So it was a really good time, a lot of good memories, just true family. A lot of the people that attended that were family members, which was cool. A lot from Canada, some from the United States. And we just had an absolutely amazing time. It was just so good. So on today's show, you've got me, Jonathan Juiceman Shaw is supposed to be here. I've reached out to him. I hope he's okay. We're talking about Black culture is thriving, but our Black community is getting the investment. Because we all know that Black culture thrives, but are Blacks getting the return on investment? And it's actually interesting. On the weekend, I'm just doing a little bit of looking at what's going on in the news. And there's a big conference that's called Invest Fest that was held every year by gentlemen who run a very popular online platform called Earn Your Leisure. And one of the gentlemen was saying that Invest Fest is not a Black thing, and it's got a lot of pushback. So let's talk about Black culture. We all see it's thriving all over the place, but are Black communities getting the investment? So before we get into our conversation heavily, we're going to go for a break. And when we come back from our break, we'll do a little housekeeping. Then we'll get right in the conversation, maybe send some polls out to a bunch of people to see what you guys have to say about it. But first, let's do the commercial thing. Let's do this.
Watch Primetime Saturdays on Saturdays, 5 p.m. Eastern, where Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key try to make sense of the nonsense in American politics and culture.
College Black Men Can Talk live on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern, where Dr. Vibe, Kofi Sadat, and Kofi Morris come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community from a Black Canadian man point of view.
Yeah, well, we're just coming from another great weekend of Primetime Saturday with Cesar Dinima Musa. Aisha and Lala have been taking some time off over the summertime, but they are coming back. Won't tell you when yet, but it's getting closer. And then yesterday we had a Black Men Can Talk, myself and one of the co-hosts, Kofi Sadat, and also Jonathan Juiceman Shaw was doing special co-hosts with me. Excuse me. And Mr. Kofi Sadat has just become a grandfather for the first time on August 9th. And myself and John were just asking him his experience, his thoughts of being a grandfather for the first time. How did it feel? How's it going to change him, his vision on life, his vision for his family? So pretty cool conversation. I see some people are kicking out in the room. So please feel free to type where you're from, type in the chat, shout out. So let's do this. So subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. So we are at almost 2,570 subscribers. So for people who have subscribed already, thank you so much. People who haven't, hey, if you're up to it, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and tell other people about it. We've been doing the Morning Vibe for over 5 years now on Monday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So thank you for your continuous support. I see people are jumping in here. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. Also join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, please feel free to email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Cannot forget our good friend, Dr. Tachi, who is one of my digital close friends for a while now. She runs a program called Indie Soup TV. Indie Soup TV is an independent content creators platform, about 30 independent content creators. I am one of them. There, I am one of them. Hit myself in my head, not on the side of the cheek there. And it's been going on now for 2.5 years, 28,500 subscribers. So subscriber-wise, it's in the top 5% of all YouTube channels. So there's the information there about that. And as always, shape the morning vibe, help shape it. So there's a link there. If you want to go to that link, quick 2-minute survey to get your feedback on how we can make the Dr. Vibe better. So let me just do something here quick as I adjust some of the stuff here. And I'm speaking, Jonathan will make it on. Yeah, as I said, I have sent him a note. We got some people in the chat here. People saying hello. JJ Mars, a long time. How have you been, sir? What is going on? Hope you are fine and safe. So good to see you. All right. So today, at the present time, I'm doing it by myself, talking about Black culture. Is it thriving? But are Black communities getting the investment? As I said in the intro of today's conversation, or today's show, Black culture's always been thriving. And in some ways, it's thriving more than ever. But are Black communities getting the investment? Are we reaping the dollars that go into Black culture? Would love to know what you have to say to that. Myself, I think we are, but again, not to the full extent. You know, we live in a capitalist society and dollars speak, whether we like it or not. Dollars speak. So are we getting the ROI for the investment or the money put for our culture? So just give me a second here. And I'm going to have some audience participation here. So just give me a second. And if you have any comments on the topic, please put them in the chat. I'm also going to put up some polls. Again, are Blacks getting the return on investment for their culture, the amounts of money that people put in their culture? So I'm actually going to put up a poll right now in regards to the Black community. And a poll, let me just see. Let's see what we're going to do. Just wondering which one I'm going to put up first. Okay, here we go. Here's a question for the audience. So, first question for the audience today. So, do you feel more optimistic about Black economic progress today than 5 years ago? So, I'm going to actually put this up. I'm going to actually put this in the comment section. I am always optimistic about Black economic progress. The challenge is, in my thought process, in order for us to achieve, or Black people to achieve, have to work together. There still seems to be a challenge or barriers about working together as a people. Now, not everyone's going to work together 100%, but it seems that there's more that's driving just my lens, a lot more driving Black people apart than keeping them together. So I'd love to get someone's got some answers there, because I have put the question for the audience. Do you feel more optimistic about Black and like, I know a lot of pockets of Black individuals or African-based individuals. There are pockets out there, but I don't see too many movements. Let me put it that way. It's all, it goes back to a gentleman I fully miss and fully respect, the late Elder Louis Marsh. He always said silos. There's a lot of silos out there. Why aren't we bringing it together? And again, too, and some people say, in today's economic climate, I'm just trying to get by. I'm just trying to make it by every day. So what do you think? What are your answers? Do you have any answers? Looking for some feedback this morning on this conversation topic, because it is a very important one. We live in a society that is, unfortunately, they're fortunate. Unfortunately, it's capitalistic society. So investment is very, very key. I said, there's and I'm actually beginning to think, what's the definition of thriving? A Black community that's thriving. Maybe it's a two-part thing. Is Black culture thriving? Is it a two-part question? Is Black culture thriving? And if it is, what indicators do you can share that it's thriving? If it isn't, why isn't it thriving? Are we so stuck on doing the 9 to 5 that, okay. Oh, okay. So JG Mars is in the house. His saying is, it's not thriving. He's saying the short answer is no. Well, JG Mars, you have some time to expand on your answer if you'd like. I'd like to know, why do you feel it's not thriving? That's interesting. You do not think it's thriving. Yeah, I'm mixed on that. Yeah, it's not thriving. So JG Mars feels it isn't thriving. What do you think? Go a little bit deeper for us, JG Mars. Share a little bit more. You're giving me things to think about as we're doing the show today. I see small indicators of it thriving, but in the big scheme of things, I don't know. If I had to say a yes or no, I'd say no. In the big scheme of things, I've seen like individuals, like a few weeks on one of the other shows that I co-host and co-produce, the Real Culture Report, myself and Emma Ansa. One of the segments we did was, it highlighted the 5 richest families in Toronto. And most of them, I knew the individuals that had families, but outside of that, Black wealth, I don't know. There's, I'm concerned in regards to, culture is Black, you see a lot of, let me go back, especially with the challenging economic times, I see less and less Black culture thriving. Let's put it that way. But I appreciate JG Mars, you kicking off the comments, to say if Black culture is thriving. All right, we got some more people kicking in the house. Would love to hear your feedback. Black culture is thriving, but are Black communities getting the investment? Love to hear. Let's see. Let me do another audience question here. Let's see. Oh, all right. This is an interesting question too now. Uh, okay, yes, this brings another lens to the question. I just saw something here. Another question for the audience. I just saw something that could maybe be another good question. So let me do another audience question on here. So bear with me. So another question for the audience here. All right, let me just do it here. Okay, let me just audience. Here we go. Okay, so here's another audience question. I've also put it in the comment section while you're watching this live replay. Do you trust mainstream banks and venture firms to fairly fund Black-led ventures? And again, this actually ties in a little bit what we were talking about earning your leisure at the beginning. So if you see a Black-led venture, when mainstream banks and venture firms or venture capital firms put their money into it, what are your thoughts? Do you trust that they're in it to help the Black environment, or do you feel they're in it to help themselves first? And if the Black environment gets any benefit from it, that's a bonus. All right, let's see. Another answer come here. JG Mars, again, thinking more obstacles have been created, more anti-Blackness atmosphere worldwide. That is true. You know, I have the opportunity to assist or provide suggestions to many, many Black-owned firms. And it just seems, well, geez, it's interesting. It's been a number of years since George Floyd. Did you notice that when the George Floyd years were going, that money was seen to be very easily accessible and there were little obstacles? What do you think that's gone? It's much more difficult now. You know, that, you know, for many Black-led firms, or especially startups, the biggest challenge is getting capital. And then you see a lot of times non-melanated firms or organizations are starting up, and you go, they're getting the capital or the support easier than the Black-led or melanated firms or startups. So JG Mars, yeah, things like, you know, again, DDI is a separate conversation. Oh, here's a good feedback here. So Brian Jefferson, good to see you here as always. I think melanated people are getting the investment, but it's in exchange for playing the roles and having the point of view that European establishments and preeminence prefers. Yeah, there's a really good point there. You know, what's the word? There's a term. You got to give and take. No, what's the word? There's a term. But really true, yeah. In order to get what you need, you got to sacrifice something. Yeah. Interesting point. Really good. Thank you for playing the roles and having the PO point of view. Yeah, that's a good point. Brian's on it. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. The community overall, at least in America, our purpose as the servant class, scapegoats, insulation for them, bearing the burdens against unwanted attacks and consequence events. You know what? I know that's a thought process of many Black Canadian or Black North Americans. Yeah. Like there's a ceiling, that glass ceiling effect. Absolutely. Brian, thank you so much for contributing. And you know what, Brian, are you a subscriber to the channel? Because you are doing a lot of great content contributions, on the live shows. And either JG Mars, Brian Jefferson, or anyone watching live on the replay, have you been in a situation where you've been refused investment for something that you wanted to pursue? And when I talk about investment, it's just not money, but investment, but people wanting to give you their time. I'd be very interested with either one of you. And I just feel that Brian is in it today. So I think Brian will come in and chat about this. Because even here in the Greater Toronto area, let's put it this way, and maybe it's also North America, maybe other places where people are watching this. If it wasn't for government money, would there be any Black culture events or Black-led initiatives that would be thriving? Right? Jonathan does another show on Sundays on Flow 98.7 called The Talk About. And yesterday, I was speaking with Jonathan before we went live yesterday. I asked him what his show was about yesterday on Flow 98.7. And he said it was all about code switching. So Brian Jefferson, is that related to your comment about, bearing the burdens against unwanted tasks? Is code switching also part of what you were mentioning? Just want to know. Okay, JG Mars. Financial investment firms just need to reform their image, providing a false front for opportunity and equality. Yeah, and I believe if I'm making the suggestion you're talking about the whole DEI initiative that have gone poof, that it was, and I don't want to sound too hard, but the George Floyd blood money is done. It's over. Yes, Brian, you are right. Quid pro quo. Thank you. That's the term I was thinking about. And entering into the stage and screen, Jonathan Shaw. Good morning. Good morning, sir. How are you? How you doing? Let me get a background. I didn't even put a background here. There we go. What's going on, Juiceman?
Better now that the internet is up.
Oh, your internet was down?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. That's why I couldn't get on.
Okay, well, we're glad you're here. Good to have you here. What's been going on this morning other than the internet not working?
I don't know if you saw it, but I think it's University of Toronto. Their law department wants students to take handwritten notes again and not use devices.
Oh, well, we're gonna. That's a good topic right there. We'll have to show for another the AI backlash. It's growing. It's growing. But glad you could make it. We're talking this morning about Black culture is thriving, but our Black community is getting the investment. What are your initial thoughts?
No.
Okay, you agree with JJ Mars from Colorado, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, come on. Let's just look at Caravana or Toronto. Was it Toronto Caribbean Carnival now? And at one time, I know the numbers are probably more than that, but a festival that for the weekend, the August 1st Emancipation Day weekend, as it's known now, or Simcoe Day in Canada, or the civic holiday now, would bring in over $400 million into the Toronto economy, whether it be hotels, food, parking, whatever it may be. How much of that went to anything Black in the city? We are the 4th largest media market in North America here in Toronto, and we do not have a historically Black museum in downtown Toronto. There are in places like Chatham-Kent, there are in places like St. Catharines, but not anything of any great stature in the Big Smoke of Toronto. That's a major faux pas, in my opinion. There is nothing that shows our history, or our legacy of people. If you did and I've conducted them. If you do a historically Black tour of Toronto, all they're going to show you is plaques or where things used to be. And how is that possible when we do have the Black Earth Center? Yes, but on a scale and a magnitude to all the other things that happen in the city of Toronto. I mean, it's an exhibit at most, you know, as opposed to something like, and I always mess up the name. I think it's William H. Wright Museum in Detroit. You know, if you think of a lot of things that happen in Toronto, for example, we don't have it. We don't have it. I mean, they canceled Afro Fest this year. I mean, how are all these other festivals able to continue? And for whatever reason, ours gets taken down. I remember there was one year that they had SOS Fest in Vaughan, and they wanted to shut that down because, again, as P said it many years ago, the fear of a black planet. You know, when too many black people congregate, even just to have fun and merriment and whatever, if they can't control it, they want to shut it down. And that to me is a major problem.
Well, thanks for your opening thoughts. We've had some comments from some people here. JJ Mars, in previous comment, I want to show that financial investment firms just in it to reform their image, providing a false front of opportunity and equality.
That is very true. And also, and one of the things that I've always, and I know you've been a proponent of it as well too, Dr. Vibe, is I think Baldwin said it best, and I'm paraphrasing: who you owe money to is who you give your power to, or who you get money from is who you get your power to, give your power to. Because a lot of organizations, they want to build something and then have the major sponsor give you money. But if you have a sponsor, they're always dictating to you how you do things. As much as we love Soul Train, we all know that Don Cornelius was so adamant about not losing his sponsorships, you know, by bringing certain guests on. I mean, he had issues with Prince. He had issues with Rick James. He even had issues with James Brown and hip hop and all these things that are seen as, hey, you know, we need to conform into this way. I know that I've worked with certain companies, and I remember I wrote some commercials that aired on a radio station, and without the sponsorship, the radio station had no problems airing the commercials about my aunt being the first Black nurse from the West Indies allowed entrance and acceptance into Canada, right? Her picture is back on the wall behind me. And once the bank got involved, they were like, well, that story is a little bit too sensitive for us to air. So now you're censoring Black history. Are you serious right now?
Another question I want to, and maybe I was saying a few moments ago before you came on, maybe this is a two-part conversation piece, the question I'm putting out there. First of all, do you feel Black culture is thriving?
No. Right now, no. And why I say that is because there is and let me choose my words carefully. When we use the term being woke, it meant something. Now, the establishment, so to speak, and I even heard other Black people use the term, even at a barbecue I was at a couple weeks ago. And I said, woke doesn't mean that. Who told you that? You know, woke means, in my estimation, and again, somebody else can correct me on this, knowing what time it is. Knowing that what you experience isn't necessarily always the truth, and there's something else behind it. And investigating what that truth is and being aware of what's really happened. As one of the guests on your show used to talk about it, the illusion of inclusion.
Yes.
Right?
Henry Morris.
So
Or no,
when
was it? No, that was
VU? Was it VU?
yes, Victory Unlimited. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
And that part of it, like when you think about those things, but they talk about the liberal agenda as being woke, or the woke society, and everybody's using the word DEI to mean all these different things. And I think that with what's happening in the United States with a lot of things, a lot of Black historical things being erased, a lot of books being erased, a lot of watered down censorship. I mean, even movies, even remember the movie that Ben Affleck did? I think it was called Argo.
Yes.
What was the nationality of the person who actually did the rescuing?
I think it was melanated.
Is Ben Affleck melanated?
Nope. Not I checked. The closest he got was to J-Lo, but that's a whole other conversation.
But do you understand what I'm saying?
She ain't fully melanated.
And I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like there's been this change, this investigation. Like, are we thriving? If you can't, if Hollywood can make other people, less melanated people or non-melanated people, certain heroes, certain this, certain that, and nobody says anything. But I remember the day, and I think this is really funny. George Lucas used a Black character to be a stormtrooper, and people lost their mind. Lost their mind. And we're talking, and the first things of any George Lucas movie always says, long ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yes.
And you have, and I mean, you have no problems with the cantina things. You have no problems with all the creatures they do. They can do this with them, whatever. But to make a stormtrooper Black, what problem? When you made the Princess and the Frog Black, problem.
So if I have your permission to drop, Mr. Roger Dundas is in the house. Good to see him as always.
Roger.
See him and his wonderful saying, I feel Black culture is thriving, but not economics.
Good way of looking at it. But I have to disagree with it, because I find it harder to get things from the Black diaspora that I used to be able to get maybe 20 and 30 years ago. And I know, Dr. Vibe, you and I have talked about it. How many Black-owned bookstores are there in the city?
One.
Two.
Well, two that I know of. There's different book lists and knowledge.
Okay, how many Black-owned bookstores are there in Canada?
Wow, you would know that more than I would. I don't want to guess on that. I don't
Less
know.
than 10? I mean, I tried to find. I remember I posted a list during Black History Month a couple years ago, and I got calls, people saying, "Hey, those two closed down." So, literally speaking, to my knowledge, there are maybe 3 Black-owned bookstores in Canada, and they're all reside in Ontario.
I'm checking in online right now, but so you have a little bit of a pushback on Roger about, and in I don't know, Black-owned culture. I don't know if it's out economics. Maybe there are other areas like what's the measurement? Like, are we all knowing more about our culture? I don't know, because again,
I think if you, and one thing I love is depending on your algorithms, there's a lot of people now doing a lot of videos, AI videos, showcasing Black culture, Black history, Black everything in a way that you couldn't before. So the technology is there where they're able to show stuff. There are many websites and things online where they show the Africa people don't want you to know, and they show some beautiful textiles and art and people and whatever. So I mean, if you want to know that, if you want to know about stuff like that, it's there, but it's not as, it's not an everyday in the way that we used to find it. And I mean, it's going to sound really dumb me saying this, but we all woke up and we watched Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. We had Soul Train. We had, at one time, Teen Summits.
yep.
We had people who made it their mission to show us in a way that we looked good. We looked good. And yes,
Okay, let me interrupt. We look good through their lens, or we look good through our lens?
Our lens. And we had to push that envelope. We had to. But again, there are many different people doing things now. But I think what's happened is, and I think this is more from my aspect, is it's hard to keep track of what is really out there. Remember, there was a website that Sinbad tried to publicize on his show many years ago called everythingblack.com.
Yep.
What happened to it?
So just to update you on some things. Now, I went to Penguin Random House Canada. There's at least, they list at least 6 different Black bookstores. One, a different book list in Toronto. Also, there's a Twosome Books in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Okay.
There's also Nile Valley Books here in Toronto.
Nile Valley isn't open 24/7 though. That's the one that, that's the one. Yeah. Nile Valley, but they're not open 24/7. But yeah, they I know about that one. Go ahead.
There's Library Racine in Montreal.
Okay.
Knowledge Bookstore in Brampton, which is part of the Greater Toronto. And then there's a Notability in Durham. So that's 6.
Okay. So what you're basically saying to me is 4 of them reside in Ontario and 2 reside outside of the province.
Yeah.
So nothing in Newfoundland, Labrador, PEI.
They may be independent, but I went to just did a quick research, and that's Penguin Random House Canada.
Okay. So like a place like Vancouver, nothing.
So, but here's another. Okay, I've been looking up some other things here. Seconds. Okay, so actually I've got a further list here. Different book lists, Knowledge Books or Twosome Books, Biscuit Eater Cafe and Books in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Also, we mentioned Nile Valley Notability. There's Cover to Cover Bookshelf in Winnipeg. Also, Old Cool General Store in Toronto, 250 Westlake. Never heard of that one. Then they have Sankofa Bookstore in Ottawa. And also mentioned Library Racine. So that's a little bit further up. But again, nothing in Calgary, and nothing in Alberta, nothing in British Columbia. But these are just, and again, I'm just taking a quick look. There probably are, but on the websites I've done a quick check on, no.
But here's what's really interesting by what you're saying. We get, again, depending on your algorithms. Now, Dr. Vibe, you're in the know. Roger Dundas is in the know.
Once in a while, I think you and Roger are more in the know. I'm just a guy, but keep on going.
But think about it logically. Roger Dundas has buyblacks.com.
Mm-hmm.
There are many other people out there. Now, you would think that if there was something new out there,
Mm-hmm.
like, because again, every new food store, every new Black something will do a social media post, or somebody from that area will say, hey, if you're looking for this, da 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 da, and we'll see it, generally speaking. I'm just saying, I mean, I try to have my ear to the ground as much as possible. And again, and I say this respectfully, I would love to know more about Black bookstores, Black anything, that are from other places in this wonderful country of Canada, or
The United States too. I
or the
want to
United
know.
States, or the United States, or whatever is
Or
happening,
globally.
or globally, just so that, hey,
Oh, Dr. Dundas has got another good question.
okay, go
But
ahead. No,
so
go,
just
go,
to reset here, myself and Juiceman are talking about Black culture is thriving, but our Black communities getting the investment. And right now we're having a talk about bookstores. And just FYI, coming up this Friday on the Morning Vibe, we're going to be talking to Greg Frankson about the first ever Canadian Black Literary Festival.
Nice.
So that is coming up on Friday. So a few comments here. Brian says, let me go back. I'm sorry, Brian. Respect. Yes, musician Leadbelly used woke in response to the Scottsboro Boys incident in 1930s Arkansas as a way of communicating the importance of remaining aware of the hazards of racialized realities, that we perish in response to European biased self-interests. It says, I remember Jar Jar Binks, that actor became and was Black as a character in every symbolism other than skin.
They changed him. They changed his character now.
Yeah.
Jar Jar, the character who plays Jar Jar, is now actually a Jedi.
So Roger brings up the comment, do we need bookstores?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
What is the reason?
There is something in a bookstore, and I don't know. When I walk into Black spaces, there's an energy that I feel that I don't feel anywhere else in the world. There is so much. And I actually got it from a Star Trek episode. There's a difference between seeing something and being able to touch something. When you are actually in a space where you can actually touch something, and maybe it's because of my love language or whatever you want to call it, or maybe it's just anything. But when I'm around other Black men, other Black women, or I'm around drumming, or I'm around things that look like me, whatever, I feel energy that is infectious. And I don't get that same energy buying a book by a Black author when I walk into, let's say, what was the name of the bookstore? An Indigo, or a Chapters, or a Barnes and Noble. You know, I don't feel that same energy like that. or even getting I don't think, how I bought a book on Amazon. Yeah, I bought a book on Amazon once. But even book signings, when I go to, like, let's say the black pop-up shops and whatever the case may be, everybody asks the same question. What, I wish your book was more readily available, that I could just walk in and buy it. I mean, yes, we have this, and with my ex-wife being an author as well, I remember going to many different bookstores, and we noticed one of those things when people go to a black bookstore, they're going to shop. They're looking to buy something that is of their culture, and they're going in with the intention of buying that. When people go into even back in the days of Kohl's bookstore, when people would see them in a mall, they would go in looking for something to buy. When you go into an Indigo or a Chapters, you're going with the intention of, I'm just going for that thing and I'm walking out.
Yeah.
If there is if there is a book signing that is happening, you're like, oh crap. Yeah, okay, maybe I got a couple of dollars. Let me go buy that if I can. But it's a different vibe. It's a different, you know what I mean? Like I remember when Sister Soldier came to Knowledge Bookstore. My gosh. My gosh. I literally had to do one of these. Sean. And leave because it was so rammed. I couldn't even get in there. You know what I mean? It was so packed for Sister Soldier doing a book signing, and those spaces. I remember bringing Omar Tyree to all the bookstores back in, like, I think it was 90, 99, and him like,
man, haven't heard that name in a minute.
Yeah, but him just basically going, thank you. Like bringing him to all the black spaces. Like he was like, yeah, man. He says, yeah. Like, like people told him about the Chapters and the Indigos, but he was more, he wanted to be around us in our spaces.
Let's
even went to Black Habits.
Yeah.
He went to Black Habits.
Yep. Brian says to Roger, we should humor the point of the speaker to be pro-social. Also, good morning, Tim Frey. Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope you and the family are well. Tim Frey's in the house. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Roger says we could do with a few black libraries, event spaces, community hubs, art spaces instead of bookstores.
I'll agree and disagree.
Where do you agree? Where do you disagree?
I would like to see more of everything. I would love to, like we talked about it yesterday on your show. It's really interesting that on the Eglinton Strip there isn't a bookstore.
True.
There's a Tim Hortons. I'm not dissing Tim Hortons, but I'm just saying, like Oakwood and Eglinton, I mean, when you think about, this is supposed to be, this is this is what we do. This is, like the Wisdom's Barbershop is closed. Monica's is closed, but they're going to be refurbishing that. Apparently they're going to be doing some sort of a museum and stuff like that in that area. But it would be really good if we could take, and Roger, I'm going to say this to Roger, that there's a lot of books, especially from the Caribbean, that are out of print, that if we were to put, if we, and I use the word we, make them available again, because people come by my house and look at some of the books and the titles and they're like, wow, where can I get this book? You can't. You can't buy it online. You can't do whatever, because again, they don't have the distribution like they used to make that book out there. Like Donald Moore's book, words, I have a copy of it. And when I think of his legacy, I mean, he has a plaque, but he wrote a book. about people coming here. There's books about the transatlantic slave trade. There's books about textiles. There's even a cookbook that has been out of print for years about how to make certain Jamaican dishes. Can't get it. But again, sometimes in life, I have to look at it, and I understand Roger's point. Libraries are great, but yeah, a bookstore. A bookstore to me is not just buying a book. It's about, a lot more than that.
Okay, let me go to JG Mars from Colorado, saying bookstores are natural gathering places for people who are hungry for knowledge and the sharing of ideas and perspectives.
You said it better than I did.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Roger said, similar to the need for having Afrocentric schools. And he also says the bookstore would be in the library. Totally agree with the need for books and reading.
Understood. I like that concept.
Yeah, I think that is here's another good point. A watering hole for intellectuals.
That part.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah, that's family. You're coming with some great comments.
Do you remember that day that we saw George Fraser down at Burke's bookstore? And
yes, and you were reading my alleged mind. I was thinking in my mind about one of the reasons that I'm doing this is because of Burke's bookstore. I used to go there on a regular basis, and you know what? Thanks again. I've got to get them on this show.
Please.
Yes.
But what was funny
if I have your permission to finish the thought. If I have your permission.
Yeah, go ahead. Gotcha.
I used to go there all the time. And one day I went there and there was a book on the shelf, and it's in my other office. I wish I could have brought it with me down. It's called Black Men, Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous.
I remember that book.
African American.
I remember when you bought that book.
African American Family in Transition. That book was one of the reasons I started the Dr. Vibe show. That, some other reasons, Tavis Smiley.
Yes, definitely.
So it was a book that was one of the major reasons that I've done this, what you're seeing now, over 6,000 times.
There's one other gentleman. He used to be on a website called The Black World Today.
Yes, I remember that site.
I was supposed to bring him to Toronto, and I don't know what happened. But going back to the thing, I think Black culture will always thrive as long as there's a Black person on this planet. It may not be in the way that we want it to thrive. But I think one of the great things about our culture is our culture has always been underground. And what I mean by that is there was a time when a lot of things that we all enjoyed were somewhat underground. You had to find it. You had to really search for it. And we all had a zest for knowledge, and we all had a zest for something new. Before the days of hip hop fashion, before hip hop was a global thing, before house music, before dancehall, before all these things, we went to certain places, certain clubs, certain things, and we did it. Remember when we used to all wear T-shirts that said, "It's a Black thing you wouldn't understand." Like just little things like that. We made our own clothing. We made our own, whatever it would be.
We made our own.
We made our own, right? And I remember interviewing Brother Noel many
Oh
years.
wow! You're bringing out the names today, brother. Go ahead.
As I said, I read. Right, I remember watching Dr. Ivan Van Cernema, and in the years of Dr. Francis Quest Welsing here in Toronto for the Pan-African Students Collective, QSAT, and they all resonated the same thing. And it was, there is going to come a time when the need for what they're doing will not be seen as a need anymore. And we're witnessing it, because when we were younger, we had to fight for inclusion. We listened to hip hop because, or house music or whatever, because it was new, it was fresh, it was exciting, it was part of the culture that was expanding. And the culture is expanding where we're getting money in certain aspects. But is the legacy the same? Big Daddy Kane said it just the other day, where he said, you know, his first show that Big Daddy Kane ever did, he got $750, and he had to pay for his own limousine. You know, K-Dot does a show and he gets $14 million. But the question is the legacy of Big Daddy Kane's work, had Big Daddy Kane come out now, would the legacy of his work be the same?
No.
Do we still revere him in the way that we did before? So
I don't think so. I don't think so.
So when I think about Black culture in the way that I do in 2026, I don't think it thrives as much, because when things are, especially I don't know why we do this, but when things are very accessible, we somewhat don't necessarily treasure it in the way that we do other things. It's kind of like analog to digital, where we want vinyl, we want tapes, we want CDs, we want the books. But when we get music that is digitally, you know, whatever, we download it, we put it on a playlist, and we kind of forget about it. You know what I mean? Don't know if I'm making sense, but that's my take.
No problem. They've got some other comments here. Visiting Cesar Dimamuso, my co-host on Black Canada Talking every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and also occasional co-host of Primetime Saturday with Ishan Lala's in the house. Says, morning, brothers. Have a great show. Good to see you here. Sayez 2025 says, wow, sounds powerful. I love Tavis. Have you guys seen the interview with Prince? Yes, I saw his interview. He was very good friends with Prince. Tavis was one of the influences of why I started this journey. And he's been to Toronto once. I don't think it was more than once. And I had a chance to chat with him for about 15 minutes. It was very insightful. I guess so Tim Frey says, so why aren't there a lot more Black bookstores?
Here's my knowledge about it. Like everything else in life, it's supply and demand and distribution. Distribution is the biggest thing. It's easier for Amazon to distribute your book than it is for a guy who lives out in, you know, the sticks to buy a couple of books from the bookstore, from the book distribution places, and then shop those books to the independent bookstores and try to make money from it. That's basically it. You know, I was looking I was watching yesterday the demise of Toys R Us. Toys R
Oh,
Us,
wow.
yeah, I was watching the thing on the demise of Toys R Us, and it was very simple that they had to deal with Amazon, and Amazon was going to be, and Toys R Us basically said that they were going to be their supplier for all the toys, and Amazon was just basically going to use Toys R Us to as their as where they would get toys from. Amazon, reneged on the deal and had other toy companies do put their stuff on their site. Obviously, there was some suing going back and forth, but what it did was it killed the online platform of Toys R Us, but also taught Amazon how to do toys. So that's one of the reasons why it kind of folded. And if you look at the single mom and pop type of bookstores that were around in the 90s, and you and I talked about this 20, 30 years ago, a lot of bookstores did not have an online presence once websites became a thing. I mean, some place, I remember we even laughed at how many places didn't even own a fax machine or have an email address.
Well, here's a question: who still has a fax machine? Because that's a collector's item today.
They're a collector's item. I mean, your fax machine is basically your printer. I mean, scanner, printer, fax machine. A lot of companies still do have fax machines, believe it or not.
Wow.
And the reason why they do have one is it actually shows longevity in the industry.
Yeah, there's track record. Yeah.
As well as having, like, I mean, in Toronto, people want to have a 416 phone number. It shows that you've been in the business for a very long time. As you know, if you have, let's say, a 212 number, a 213 number, in certain areas, that also shows longevity as well too.
Sayez-2020 says, thank you, brothers. First time viewer listener. I have purged a space to subscribe. Good. Would love you to subscribe, but I will definitely will and share. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Roger says the last Toys R Us store is open in Whitby, store closing in effect. Like, there was one in my area for the longest period of time, and it closed down about in the last year and a half.
Brampton was one of the first ones as well too. Brampton, yeah. And that one, I think it's either closing or closed right now.
Yeah. With some of you who are here, if you are watching, I'm going to put up a poll if anyone would be interested in taking part in a poll. So let me just do this and do this. So out of curiosity, where do you see the biggest investment gap now in the Black environment? Housing, real estate, Black-owned businesses, startups, or arts, media, and culture projects? So if you're watching this, you can answer it. I want people to vote if they're watching either 1, 2, or 3, but go ahead, Juiceman.
You need 4. You need a fourth one. All the above.
True. All the above.
All of the above.
If you are watching this live, I'd love you to take part in the poll. I will put it in the background, but it is just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's still running. The poll is there. The poll is there. Oh God. Yeah. Sayez also says all of the above. Okay. And says smiles and 100. Thank you, Sayez. Thank you. But yeah, and so you're of the thought that we're getting less when it comes to investment.
Oh yeah. Oh, listen. One of the funny things that has been happening, and I've made no no joking about it, but a lot of the organizations that got funding from the government, whether it be this side of the border or that side of the border, they got their funding cut
Oh, yeah.
majorly,
Absolutely.
majorly. And
Absolutely.
and it bothers me that I see the commercials I do see in Ontario for the government that basically says we've now created more jails and more whatever. And every time I hear that line, it just makes me cringe. I'm like, "Ugh." You know what I mean? Like, you're putting money into housing criminals instead of finding ways to stop people from becoming criminals. You know, I remember when I first moved up to Peel from Toronto, and I noticed something that every summer the schools took down the basketball nets.
Yes. I remember
And I was
those
like,
days.
you could go to a hockey arena, they would take down the mesh for soccer as well too. It's like they didn't want there was and I found this out many years later. They did it on purpose because they did not want black kids congregating around certain things. Anything they thought was black, they were not interested in having people around for that. They thought that brought violence, it brought this, it brought whatever. But they wanted, they figured that we don't skate, so let's go do that. But guess what? We put quad wheels on our feet and we went roller skating. You know what I mean? We went skating. Like, no matter what the world does, we found a workaround for anything that is put in front of us. And I mean, like I remember when I was a kid, okay, there's no basketball nets. Okay, we found cardboard and we
Yeah.
found we got some
Cardboard box.
we got some Duracell batteries, put them in our portable, and we decided to break dance. You know what I mean? And from break dancing, we started DJ crews out of that, and we found other ways to do stuff as well too. Oh, you know what? Oh, you don't, you won't allow us into your centers. Okay, we'll do block parties. You know what I mean? We'll do blockos, and yeah, we will. All the future electricians were the ones who connected the sound system to the lamppost.
True.
You know what I mean? Let's not get that twisted as well too. All these people who had certain, a lot of my friends. I mean, we can even talk about Dapper Dan. Oh, you won't allow us to do fashion. Okay, well, guess what? We're gonna make our own and use your stuff, the ends, to make the clothing for ourselves. You know what I mean?
This leads then to, the second part about our Black youth getting the investment. It's an obvious question, but we need to look at investing each other, for each other, and each other.
I really believe that, but for the first time in a very long time, we don't got it. We don't have it. We have it, but we don't. We've been living a life for a very long time of abundance. We've been,
okay, let me put it this way. Maybe we're trying to live a life of, how am I going to put this? Some of us are trying to live a life that was not.
A lot of us have put our hat where we can't reach it.
Oh, there you go. That's a good way of putting it.
And because of the way the world is right now, we've had to we're not even downsizing anymore. We're just not doing, because we can't. We're seeing some of our seniors having to sell off everything and move into spaces that are very small because they don't have the money to pay for somebody to shovel their driveway or cut their grass. Before, there was always that person or that kid in the neighborhood who would just do it, and they'd pay them at $10, whatever the case may be, whatever. There were certain friends of mine who had friends who, were truck drivers who would just cook food for
Yep.
them. And that person would come into their house and fix something or cut their grass or move. That don't happen no more. Henri Morris used to talk about, there's no big mamas no more. Big mama's in the club right now. Like there's like when I think of what grandma used to look like. Grandma had silver hair. Grandma had diabetes or sugar. You know what I mean? Grandma wore them big frock, the big moo. She didn't go nowhere. Grandma, listen, we're grandmas, right? We're grandpa. Like you had Paul on your show. He's grandpa. He don't look like grandpa.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
We don't look like grandpas no more. We're grandpa age right now.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to be grandpa, if you know what I mean. Like sit down.
Yep.
On the rocking chair.
Yep.
We don't do that no more. And you know what's funny? We're not afforded the ability to do that.
Yeah.
We don't have it like that.
A lot of people. That's true.
You know what I mean?
We want to live a life that we can't afford.
But no. We just want to live. We want to live. Forget the afford part.
Just want to live.
Just want to live. Like literally, and this is gonna sound wrong, but I've heard so many people say this. They can't buy meat and cleaning products on the same bill.
Really?
You can't do it. If you go grocery shopping, you're not buying cleaning supplies and meat on the same bill. You're buying your meat one day. You're going to buy your cleaning products on another day. And then you're going to buy your other everyday type of groceries on another bill. You can't do them all one time no more.
Wow.
You can't. You can't, boss. Think about what and I mean, it's not even about.
I hear you.
It's not even about inflation. It's about shrinkflation. Because things are costing way more money, but they're smaller. I'm nursing 2 bags of potato chips back there. I'm nursing 2 bags of potato chips, man. Because
OMG. All right, let's get to some comments. Sayez says that's systematic. When you have schools, authority figures partaking in that nonsense. I'm so glad times have changed. Excuse me, in some things, but we still have more work to do. The work is never done. Agree, the work's never done. Also says, we owe to those that came before us. We're standing on their shoulders. Well, their shoulders are very weak. And for the future generations, obviously. Also, Grandma's Hands, the song reminds me of this. I miss that. Roger says, it's interesting watching behaviors of Black community organizations set up to support Black entrepreneurs that are resistant to using Black-owned tech, especially when it costs them nothing.
That part.
You want to expand on that part?
Okay. I'm going to say this respectfully. I am a voice actor. I've been the voice of Gatorade. I do DoorDash. I've done many high-profile commercials over my lifetime. I am the image voice for a jazz radio station here in Toronto. And I remember when Justin Timberlake came out, I was a voice to Justin Timberlake as well, too. I can count on one hand how many Black businesses in this city have called me up and said, hey, Johnson, do me a commercial for my business.
What do you feel the reason is for that situation?
You can't afford it. But my thing is, can you afford not to?
Roger, I'd love to send Roger the link to have him jump into this conversation because
I mean, like Rogers hired me. Rogers hired me. Yeah, definitely. Rogers hired me. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, to be honest with you, like, there's a lot. Like, I can think of how many organizations, who some of them being elitist. But again, you also have to look at it as though they're not trying to get me because I'm from Toronto. They want somebody else who's from abroad because it brings more cachet to them. And then once you blow up, then all of a sudden that's when they're going to start looking at you and saying, hey, we now have this person. But when you're here, they're not trying to talk to you. And that's been like that for forever.
Yeah.
Do you know how many guys? Do you know how many guys do? We have a guy in the city who designs the artwork for Strictly the Best or Reggae Gold. But a lot of, call it, corporate people don't really use him like that. There's a guy who did the Flow 98, well, the Flow 93.5 logo originally, who did the website and all that stuff, whatever. And I remember he went on Facebook and he was like, I work for myself and I find it hard to be in business. Like, even though I've been hired by this company to do work for them, making them millions of dollars. As my own entity, I can't get my own people to hire me to do something where I'm giving them like
okay. Roger Dundas says send the link. Roger's ready to come on. So people, if you be ready, if you want, jump off now, because now the conversation is going to go to OMG level. But you know what? I have said that about a number, about some of the things that I've been involved in. And again, I go back to my man, Freddie Coleman. The more I know, the less I understand. I'm not wanting to.
How many times have you asked the question, how come you guys won't let me stream this thing? How come you never called me to do this thing, to stream something? Remember when you used to ask that question? Remember I said to you, I'm doing this thing for grade 7 and 8 year olds, and you said I should be streaming this right now.
Yeah.
And we called and asked, and they were like, well, you always get that conversation. How many times have you got that, dude? Come on.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. I'm tired of begging.
You know what? What's today's date?
And again, this whole investment in ourselves piece, I hear you. And and I think the concerning part is where there are people who don't look like us who want us. Now there's different levels and circumstances of that, but I'm puzzled by it. So the reason I'm not looking directly on the screen, I'm just sending Roger the link, because now things are even, now the fire is going to get turned up more. So Roger, I have sent, just give me a second. I've sent the email to your Buy Blocks address. So looking forward to have you come on, Mr. Dundas. But yeah, I think, again, this is part of in the investment process. We've got to look at investing ourselves in each other. And
but we got to get rid of the malaise of doing it, though.
Well, I think part of it's trust, and then part of it, I'm not gonna. It's interesting. You and I, and probably Roger, we get a lot of emails, and it's very interesting. And there obviously the reasons where I see a number of artists, entertainers who look like us are being represented by organizations that are non-melanated.
Well, they do that because
I find just say
they
it's
want-
interesting. I'm not nothing against it. Obviously, there's a reason. There's at least one person out there that you and I know. She's been doing it for a long time. I can put the name in our private chat, and I'm going to put it there. I'm going to put it there right now.
I know who you're talking about, but okay, I just want to make sure that it's the same person. Oh yeah.
Right. And there's another gentleman. I can't remember his name, but I'm just going, interesting. Okay. But this to me is the whole investment piece. We've got to learn to invest in each other, and I'm not even just talking financially, but just emotionally, that part, because to me, the investment on relationships is a foundation before the relationship of financial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the key part of it all. And I just think it's, I hear where you're coming from. And Roger and I have these conversations. You have these conversations and going, when is this going to change? When it can, and I still have hope, but I'm just going, wow, because, and it doesn't help the culture.
It doesn't. However, one thing that we all have to do is something that we have to do every.
Okay, stop your noise. It's time.
Okay.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, two of my favorite people.
What is up, Roger? How you doing?
Jonathan Shaw.
How you doing, man?
And Dr. Vibe.
How you doing? How's the Dundas family?
Why they're better than me. There's the two of them are still sleeping, Two of them
my brother.
Sleeping,
yeah. Please add your thoughts to this conversation, sir.
Boy, Jonathan, it's so terrible. I watch this thing playing out in this Canadian constellation.
Thank you.
Right across the entire country, of the lack of support sometimes. And the reason why I say sometimes is because I feel like, we as media, right? And me being a part of the media space and reaching out, I get support from my peers. So I'll never disrespect my Black peers. My Black media peers are the best. They are the best set of people in this country, to me, right? When it comes to support. But if you step outside of that now and you just have a regular business, it doesn't matter what it is. You find that sometimes you're struggling to see support from the constellation of people. And I was specifically talking about the fact that we're doing, I'm not afraid to say that we're doing an online ticketing company, as you know, Culture Ticks. It's going to be our 2-year anniversary in October. And there's so many businesses. And I'm specifically talking about the Black community organizations. I don't care about the private party goer, party promoter, or the person that this is doing an event or whatever the case may be. That's not the person I'm focused on. I'm focused specifically on these guys that say that they're here to support Black entrepreneurs. They're getting funding to do programs to help Black entrepreneurs to grow and scale and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, they won't actually just even use the Black tech that's out there. And it's free. It's not costing them anything. It doesn't cost them anything. And we even offer through Buy Blacks to promote their events. And they're still saying, yeah, you know what? We'll still use the Italian-owned one. or we'll use the white-owned one, or we'll use the South Asian-owned one, because whatever reason, they'll give a reason, right? And at the end of the day, we know, because I can show you all the stats and analysis and everything, the reasoning does not make sense. So you got to ask yourself, why do they do that? Not calling no names, because I don't want people, they know who they are just by virtue of what I said. Black community organizations who support entrepreneurs, they know exactly who they are.
Then it leads me to, and Roger, we have these. Okay, so Cesar says there is no FUBU without consciousness, and there is no Black consciousness without Black social economics, and there's no Black social economics without Black unity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jonathan, hit it hard. Because when Jonathan made that comment about he could count on his hand how many people have hired him for voice services, I knew I was one of those people on his hand. Understand? I knew I was one of those people, right? Because I've done it. If I tell you the amount of businesses that Camille supports, Black-owned businesses, it would blow your mind in terms of how she would specifically seek out businesses and support them with her hard-earned money. I'm not talking about just showing up somewhere and, actually taking out your wallet and buying the product from them or the service. And then when you ask them to reciprocate, they ain't doing it most times. They just don't do it.
The hilarious thing is Roger was doing an event, and let's say the event started at 3:30. And he said, okay, you know what? You guys could show up at about 2:30 to show up, 2:30, and, to set up your things, whatever. We all arrived at the same time at around 2:00. That's professionalism.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? We're all there to make sure that everything goes okay. We're all set up, ready to go. Nobody's looking over no shoulder. Nobody's saying this. We do our thing. It's done. And that's a synergy you have with people in our community, and whatever the case would be, the people who know what they're doing, mind you. But we still need to learn something that my mom always used to talk about. And that is, we need to learn how to trust. We get nothing done in this world if we don't trust. And yeah, there's going to be people that burn us. People, come on, that happens every day.
Come on. All day, every day.
We get burnt every day for something. But that doesn't mean that the whole race of people is going to do the same thing. There are good people, there's bad people. There's sometimes even myself, hey, I don't wake up on the right side of the bed all the time. There are times where, I always pride myself on not being late. But there are things that happen, that extenuating circumstances, but that is the exception as opposed to the rule. Yeah. And we as a community need to find out the movers and shakers in our community who do the things that we need to be done. And it's very easy. Just ask. You know what? The reason why I do advertising, the reason why I've always done advertising is, and all we're supposed to do in advertising is to make a business, product, or service top of mind in your mind, so that when you think of using said whatever it is, we lead you to the doorstep. Once, that's our job. That's it. Get them to your doorstep eventually, but it's to bring you to top of mind. You're not going to want to buy a diamond ring all the time, but once you do, think about it. You're going to go into this business to go buy it. When your car, which happened to me not too long ago, you get a flat tire, you want to be able to think of a business that can repair that tire, either repair that tire immediately. To my knowledge, I don't know a Black-owned place where I live that does tires.
Where do you live?
There may be
Brampton?
50,000 of them. I unfortunately don't know of one.
Yeah.
And usually what happens is, oh, you should have brought that to Tim. You should have brought that to Adolphus. You should have brought that to Winston. You know what I mean? After the problem.
Yeah. But at least you know for the next time, though. At least you'll know for the next time. Once you know, you know. Right.
Correct. But the funny thing is I never heard that person before. And that's what advertising is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right? There are a million places we can go for food, but we all do it. What do you want to eat tonight? Well, what's that place again you took me to? I can't remember it. Why? Because it's not in the top of your mind anymore.
Yeah. So
and businesses don't spend them, they don't have the money to spend to advertise and put them higher. And if they do spend the money to put themselves in that upper echelon, trust me, when the bill comes at the end of the night, you're like, okay.
So I would respectfully disagree that they don't have the funds. I think that businesses are choosing and opting to spend their budget in different places, right? So, and for different things that they feel are more rewarded. I'm choosing my words carefully. They feel, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of money is spent now on symbolism, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Dr. Vibe is gonna crack it. And symbolism is beautification, balloons, and big letters and whatever other things that you feel well quote unquote make the event hype, right? And then you have an event and people then don't show up, right? And then you say, oh wow, yeah, so it looked good, but then there was nobody there. Right? So I see a lot of that happening. I mean, if you know, the event space is shrinking. Like all the event hosts and young and old are seeing declining numbers. Just look at Caravana. What's it called? Toronto Caribbean Carnival. They asked the question last year, how many bands were there and how many revelers? And this year, how many bands were there and how many revelers? Find out that information and come back. I know what it is, but just go and search it out for yourself. There's something happening. Why is that happening?
I'll tell you.
You said it earlier. People have no money.
That's one. And there's what I call the leave the house cost.
Look, I have to interrupt. I have to interrupt because I was raised on the leave the house costs. Because when my father come home from his teaching at 5:30, I think I've told you about this.
Yeah.
What's the first thing him do?
Pajamas. But and this is why I tell people, people are upset with me, right? And sometimes I can understand the quote unquote anger. I'm talking about friends and closer associates, and they say, oh, we have an event and you don't show up. I'm like, what type of event are you having? You say, well, I had it at a club. I said, bro, I don't go to clubs anymore. I'm a grown-ass man. I don't do that. That's not my thing. I want to be in my house by like 11, right? So if Cube was still around, I would have gone to Cube yesterday, possibly. because I know it ends at 10 and I'm back home by 11. If I wanted an evening out, me and the boys would go there, right? The festivals, I don't go to festivals. I don't go to places unless I'm working the festival, meaning that, back in the day when I was doing publicity and everything, I wouldn't go to festivals. It's just not my jam. I'm personally not interested in it, in standing up and seeing somebody perform on a stage, unless it's Stevie Wonder or Jill Scott. Just saying, that's me. Don't do it. I told you, you can't come. So there's that, right? But guaranteed though, Jonathan, if you're doing a birthday party at your house, as you know, I've invited you to my house as well. I'll be there. That's my jam.
As I said,
my jam.
I will tell people this all the time. If you call me right now,
yeah,
and you book your Christmas party, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I'm looking outside right now. It's sunny. It's beautiful. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm there. Whatever. But you call me in January.
Yeah.
To do something in a couple of weeks. Maybe I'm already booked or whatever the case would be. But I'm looking outside and I'm seeing snow. And I'm looking at how much money you want to pay me.
Yeah.
And I'm already in my pajama.
Yeah. Hells no.
Listen. Tell me when you've ever seen Beres Hammond, international reggae singer, in Canada after November. I'll wait. He's not coming. He's not coming. There's no amount of money you can pay certain people to leave their house. Yeah. And what has happened, especially after the pandemic, is people got real comfortable in their yard. And for them to come back out again, they're not even trying to take a job where they have to get on a train or a GO train or drive their car or pay for parking ever again. You could not pay me enough money to take a GO train first thing in the morning. I'm 6'5", 300 pounds. My knees hit the back, like if I'm sitting in a chair and there's another chair in front of me, my knees hit the wall. Yeah. And a man's gonna come sit down and try to straddle me to come take a seat. No, boss, I'm not do that again. I'm done.
Oh, my God.
No, and then them steep stairs where people are pushing you and you're looking down like this, like I could fall down those stairs.
Yeah.
To run after, and all I'm trying to do is get to work, to do the same thing I'm able to do from my house. There's a microphone and all that other sort of stuff there. There's a computer. I have an internet connection. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah. I don't know, brother. But so that's the events thing has declined. I mean,
big time.
And worse too. I'm watching Kaya Fest for this Saturday, and I think it's gonna do amazing. By the way, I think they're gonna get a high turnout to go and see that. I mean, it's a hell of a lineup. I mean, that show looks like it would start at 6 and end at 6.
Yeah,
there's so many acts on the show. I mean, Busta Rhymes alone can do 1 hour.
Exactly.
Jabba Ranks can do another hour.
Yeah,
Julie Black can do an hour. I mean, everybody's and then So I'm looking to see what happens there.
Is that
would you sorry for anybody else who has a show that night?
Who has a show that night?
House party.
Huh?
I gotta do my friend's birthday on the 20th. It's the 22nd and the 23rd, right?
No, just the 22nd. It's just the
22nd. Oh, okay, I can go. Good, because I'm doing something on the 23rd. Yeah, I got to do a house party.
Just out of curiosity, how much is the cost for those tickets for that event?
I didn't even check because I'm not going. Remember?
But that's a serious.
People are asking me if I'm going. I'm like, bro, I already told you I don't go to festivals.
No, but yeah, I hear you. I'm just curious to see how much it costs and how how many people will show up, and that's a huge investment.
No, man, it's going to be good. It's going to be rammed to capacity, I believe. It's going to be to capacity. And they're going to get a diverse set of a diverse audience because of the Marley family being there.
True.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, there's Shabba Ranks. He hasn't been back since 2019. He was on a show that I did the PR for back in 2019, One Love Festival, ironically the name, you know. And he was amazing that time. So it's been what, 7 years?
Wow. That's a big show.
Yeah.
Rita is here as well too. She hasn't performed. I mean, I was supposed to have an interview with her on Sunday, but Specs got the exclusive on that, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just to have the Marley family back in the city is amazing. If I had interviewed her yesterday, I would have asked her what it was like. What is 2026 looking like for you back in the city, as opposed to 1982, where you shut down Bathurst and Bloor. Remember when she was at Honested's and she shut down the whole entire street? Wow. And she did that back in the Cool House. Well, it was 2010 as well too. So,
wow,
there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history with the Marley family here in the city as well. So,
yeah,
it should be really nice.
Roger, let me ask: what are solutions for Black communities getting more investment?
That's a great question. I have no. I think that, you know, Jonathan said something earlier, you know, that we don't, as a community, generally speaking, we don't have a lot of wealth. So, you know, to go out to the Black community and ask for wealth. So, you know, you and I, we know a gentleman who has a tech company, and he's been trying to source funding for his tech company from the community without success, right? So it's been without success here. Even the people who invest typically in, you know, startups and all of that, who are Black, are not looking to invest.
That's interesting. Right? That is interesting.
So I'm in dialogue, and I've connected him to a number of people right across the country to do the investment. And I don't think I'll follow up with him, because we do have to talk about something else. I'll follow up with him and see what's happening. But the solution would be to ask possibly for smaller amounts of investment. So if you can figure out a way for people to invest that it's a tax deductible investment, so to speak, where you're investing in a fund and that can count towards your RRSP or something like that, then that would be a good vehicle. And those vehicles do exist.
Yeah.
Figure that out. The whole trust thing, you know, Jonathan mentioned it earlier, where, you know, people are saying, okay, yeah, you have this company, great, but they don't trust that the company is going to deliver. Whereas on the white side, those guys are investing in tech companies that go bust like every day, and they're plunging in millions of dollars into them still, and then they go bust, and they're like, oh, well, okay, well, let's see what else is out there. And they move on. But we're not doing that because potentially we don't have the money to do that.
Yeah. We can't afford to be.
We can't afford to lose that.
Yeah. 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 It's like, go ahead, Juice.
It's tough, eh?
I want to say there's conversations we can have on the internet, and there's conversations that we can have in private.
Yep.
So I'll be very ambiguous with my response. We here in this country have witnessed 2 Black-owned radio stations get bought and sold, and nobody from the Black community on 2 occasions came forth and said either one of them would be viable in the 4th largest media market in North America. There was nobody who had, I won't say didn't have the capital, but didn't see that as a viable investment. I remember many, many years ago talking to Black authors, Black business people, Black whatever. And I said, why is Canada not an option for you to come here? And he says, because there's no media here. There's no Black-owned media here. If I come here, everything is slanted to another audience. I need something that looks like me and viable. You don't have the infrastructure. All your artists leave and come here. There's nothing here. There's no growth here. And in the early 2000s was a great time to be Canadian, with the launch of a radio station, with having Vince Carter here, with having certain things that started to come out. But right now it's stalled again because there's not that engine that's trying to keep stuff happening. And yes, there's a whole bunch of YouTube channels that are out of Canada. There's a lot of people who are doing podcasting. There's a lot of this, that, whatever. But even though it may be passe, even though it might be going the way of the dinosaur and whatever, you still need that hub that puts out more content, more whatever, that is seen by the masses as being legitimate. And right now, there is not too many organizations that the world looks at as being legitimate coming out of Canada, Black. And what happens in those cases is they only use who they know and who they trust. And you're right, Roger. Other people can put a lipstick on a pig and sell that lipstick on a pig to somebody, and 50 people are lined up to buy it. But something that is here, that does something, and you're like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Oh, well, meet me on Tuesday. Tuesday comes around, you go to their office and you come with your portfolio and this, whatever, and they're asking you 50,000 questions. You try to go to the bank and try to get a loan and do whatever, whatever. And then somebody, again, lipstick on a pig comes through, and then all of a sudden it's like, hi, you forgot about me. And it's because there's certain blocks put in place for melanated people and hurdles that we don't even see, that we don't even know. There's not programs for us. And if there are, they find a way to disqualify us every single time. If you can read between the lines of what I'm saying, Roger, you know this is true. Dr. Vibe, you know this is true. So when we try to do things, we're met with this big opposition. And we have to spend so much money, personal liability insurance, if we can get it. We have to have underwriters for the policy. We spend more to get a license. We're heavily scrutinized when that license comes about. We are checked more than anybody else. We have to have feasibility studies. We have to have this. We have to have this. We have to have this. We have to da. And I'm like, okay. They say, well, if you go play golf with some of these guys, you'll get to be able to do the business deals, whatever the case may be. Well, that don't work. So It's too easy, no matter any way you slice it, for the power to be turned off, which has happened at festivals, at parties, at events that we have done, where we have lawyers, money, investors, blah, blah, blah. Everything is ironclad. And I've seen it with my own eyes, and I just have to shake my head and say, you know what I mean? Play the Delroy Wilson song, Better Must Come. I'll take my seat.
Wow. I don't know what to say on top of that one. That's just great. But what I'm seeing another thing, and it's an interesting conversation piece in that this whole Buy Canadian movement, right? So, obviously, the impetus of that is the trade war that we're having with certain countries, right? People are still not buying Canadian product a lot. Because if buying Canadian would also mean buying Black Canadian too, right? So we're not seeing the Canadian.
No.
Hold on. Let me finish the thought. Let me finish the thought. This is just my feeling, and just based on conversations with many different people, many different backgrounds, right? What is it to be Canadian? The thing is, we're all from all these different countries. We're still, kid on my team, he's from Greece. He just came back 2 weeks, been away. Another one went to Morocco. Another one went to Europe. Everybody's from somewhere else. So when you tell somebody to buy Canadian, there's no real, I find the loyalty to Canada is not strong. Like the Italian loyalty is, the Jamaican loyalty is strong. When you tell somebody to buy Jamaican, yeah. But to buy Canadian, what is that? They're like, what does that even mean? So it comes right back to, we're here in this environment, in this constellation of people as Black people, and there's no loyalty really to Black brands. Because if there was loyalty to Black brands would be way up there, because we have a high level of buying power for the limited resources that we have, right? Just saying, it's just not happening. As a country, it's not happening. Yeah, we've slowed down buying U.S. potatoes. You know what I mean? And there are a few products, and Doug Ford took the alcohol off the shelf for a while. I think it's coming back now. But and so other brands got some boost from that, right? That people would normally not buy it. But you think it was normal for people to not buy Canadian? I'm talking everybody now. So it's also normal for people not to buy Black Canadian within the Black community. It's normal.
Here's something that I find that's very interesting. There is no advertising that says what Black Canadian products look like at all. There's not a symbol.
That's true.
I can't pick up something and say this is
not
Black
true.
owned.
Hold on. There are some products now that are being labeled black owned, or there's a term. I'm gonna find it and show
okay.
you.
Okay, so
they'll put it on there. Then a Black owned, support a Black owned business or something like that.
They'll do that. They'll do that. But again, let's take things a little bit simpler. There was this major push when I was a kid that we looked at labels, and on the label it said made in Canada, made in China, made in the Philippines.
Right.
And there was a major push to buy things that were made where you live. And yes, we want to find there are a lot of black owned markets, or buy black in this and this, whatever. But here's one thing that I've been saying. There needs to be a BIA type of conglomerate that houses black businesses. You know what I mean?
I'm laughing, right?
You know, I know, because you have buyblacks.com.
No, I'm not talking about buy blacks. I'm saying that that's what the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a repository for all. That's what the name, right? And also the Black Business and Professional Association. That's supposed to be where we can find all things black businesses and professionals that exist across the country. And
Roger,
yes.
I
supposed
remember
to
what I said, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? We know what we're saying, but we're not saying it, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where, as I started the conversation, I do Gatorade. People have seen my Gatorade ads at every basketball game, FIFA, whatever the case may be, blah, blah. I'm yet to see the advertising from some of the organizations that are supposed to be there to tell us to invest in black culture across this country.
You didn't want to get me started.
All right. I'm going to end it there, because when Roger says you don't want to get me started, that's a whole other episode.
Really don't want to get me started.
We're gonna shut it down right there. We're going to shut it down right there. Frequency Event Promotions, good day. Watch the replay. Dr. Time 18188 says, are we really thriving? That is still to be seen. Dr. Tachi says that's an important conversation. What does it mean to be Canadian, especially when your allegiance lies someplace else? We'll take that away, Dr. Tachi. All right. Yeah. Let's get ready to shut it down. So first of all, Roger, thank you so much for jumping into the conversation. Appreciate that. Man.
My pleasure.
Wonderful pleasure. As always.
Yes.
Want to get a hold of Jonathan? Jonathan O. Shaw, that's JONATHAN, people, all right, .com. You can catch him on Sundays on flow98.7.com online. Did an excellent show yesterday about code switching. Jonathan, you told me it was your most engagement ever on the show?
Yes. Yeah.
That means we need to talk about it here.
We did an article about that recently with the influencers. Is code switching, because they're doing, and it was led by Tasha Millionaire, because she does not code switch. We love her for it because that's her authentic voice. So yeah, that's another show. That's a whole show into itself.
What, code switching?
Code switching.
Okay, we'll bring it here too. We'll bring it here also.
Get her to come on the show. Get Tasha to come on the show.
If I could, I'd love to. If you give me contact information, I will reach out to her.
I will.
All right. Also, Mr. Knight, Ryan Oneil Knight, KNIGHT, myself, toplink.cc/the DRVIBESHOW.com. You can watch replays of this show on the Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, Afro Caribbean Business Network, and Ryan Oneil Knight on the YouTube. And coming up on this Friday show, I think it's the first ever Canadian Black Literacy Festival, and Greg Franson will be on that. So as always, live your life.
Amazing lineup.
Yes,
one of my favorites, Debbie Young.
Yes,
is on the show. I love her. She is
all right.
Stellar.
So let's end it off as usual. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger. Aim better. Aim higher. Aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time. Manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history, and also make culture. And make it better. God bless. Peace, well, keep the faith, walk good. We'll catch you soon.